Are calories the work of the devil? Let go of the devil's foods. Well, having spent most of my life on a diet and not succeeding yet, maybe they are. And what's to blame? My craving for carbohydrate, which is holding me back from being a normal weight. I am diabetic, have frequent spells of thrush, my periods are super heavy, and have had trouble conceiving in the past. I've also had a close attachment to emotional eating, especially during my school years, where I was bullied for being overweight, and of course, to stop the hurt, the chocolate was a remedy. I struggled with my self-confidence ever since because I have those events and yo-yoed in weight. I had a period of binge eating where I would come home after an emotional hit. I would have a large bag of chips, a Savoy battered sausage, a pickled egg, a bar of chocolate, swilled down with a bottle of sherry, and go off to sleep on my own so I could cope with the pain, emotional pain. I decided in my teens to slim down to as close as I could be to 8.5 stone, using calorie counting, and did a pretty good job of losing around 4 stone, but I got a bit anxious towards the last stone as I wasn't losing weight and getting to my goal. I seemed to have stuck and slashed my calories drastically down to 500 calories a day and started doing exercise, but the last stone hardly budged. So things started creeping back to the way they were over again. When I reached the age of 21 after a spell of panic attacks, I was 3 stone overweight again and wanted to slim down after joining a media course, which I was fairly successful again. Then my weight was a constant battle between 21 and 30, moving up and down the scales. Then I had my daughter at 37 years old, and I totally ballooned to 19 stone after suffering with postnatal depression and being a single mother. I started using portion control over a number of years to bring myself down to around 16.5 stone. That was around about 2016. Then I got down I got drawn into V2K in 2020, and as I've said on one of my earlier videos, I had a period of time where I was starved as a torture technique they did on me because I was fearful. I didn't want to be physically tortured, so they told me not to eat or drink anything so I could sleep and be in a relative comfort. With that, I lost over 3 stone in weight through fear. Thankfully, I eventually started drinking water again, as I accepted the continuing bodily torture, because it was better than going around putting my head down as of per instructions from my voice to kill handler, or voice to school handler. But that had a toll on me too. Unfortunately, because the bodily torture has become more heavy because I refuse to obey the voice to school perps, my weight has crept back on again, and with 2 more stone added again where I currently am now, and a few binging sessions to match, especially like in the last month because of like the head pressure and stuff. It's just sent me around the shop getting chocolate again because it's like the old kind of serotonin go-to, to make yourself feel better. Diet systems. Having gone through most diet systems, calorie counting, low carbing, slimming world, portion control, and finally V2K torture, I think I have finally discovered a system that may work for me, gleaming the knowledge I have previously gained through with all these structures of eating. Portion control. I found portion control definitely works. I would literally have 1 scoop of ice cream at the time, thumb-sized portion of cheese, the recommended serving sizes on the back of the packs also that you buy. It proved to help. Just the hardest part is disciplining myself to stick to portion control. Calorie counting. Calorie counting was the worst system of all. I had all the apps. Thinking back on it, I mean, does a lion go around with a phone app counting all the wildebeest they've eaten that day? No, they don't. It's not natural, is it? I would be poring over it all day, the apps, having the treats I wanted, and then would usually be heavy in carbs. But I thought it would be okay because I'm calorie counting. I was therefore clock watching till the next meal time, and would have it earlier, all at once, and then I would say to myself, it will be okay. I will have porridge at 6 p.m. to stop the hunger pangs. But I would probably last about 3 days like this and then binge like an animal, and then feel a total failure. Then I would try another diet, then another one, and then back to calorie counting again on a complete cycle, year in, year out. It didn't work again after the first weight loss victory I had. That is because I feel that many have done damage, that I might have done damage to my body. Maybe it was some sort of starve mode it went in. Then it got suspicious after 3 days and threw a wobbler to recoup all that it had lost with vengeance. I discovered the more heavier I was, the more hard it was to lose weight and keep it off. It always came back. Emotional eating was a big component, but it was like holding onto a balloon, trying to keep my weight back on track. The trouble with counting the carbs is, although you have the luxury of having all the carbs in the world, this stuff in mass hits your blood sugar and gives you a lift and a massive crash where you are feeling tired and exhausted, where you then want to hit again, sweet hit or whatever. This does not solve your immediate dietary needs. It seems like the more I tried the calorie counting, the more anxious I got about the whole thing. Low carbing and slimming world. With these two systems of eating, I learnt the value of vegetables and how tasty they are, especially if they are steamed or lightly cooked. I initially ate lots of meat and cream cheese, which slowed my blood sugars, as lower carb eating somehow converts fats and uses fat storage you have on board your body. Where my blood sugars were solid for a while, and managed to conceive for my daughter unknowingly. I was diagnosed with PCOS originally, which is polycystic ovary syndrome, and was told it was unlikely that I would conceive having many cysts on my ovaries. So it must have cleared that up, starving it of sugar, like inflammation and stuff. During my short stay with Slimming World, as it was hell expensive at the club and online, I learnt about literally putting vegetables with everything, like baked beans and stuff, fruit and salad together, combinations you wouldn't even think of. It was more practical to your average person, whereas low carbing was restrictive and could get boring. But there seemed to be a misapprehension. You could eat anything on this certain list, but you still would have to learn to portion control, and it was still confusing and a chore to work out your diet daily. Also, I noticed that meats, I never binged eat on meats, like I'd have like the morning fry-ups, sausage, egg and stuff like that, and like bread at a minimum. But that'd keep me going for like hours and hours and hours. So it's not just a greed and gluttony thing. These foods really do have an effect, especially like the modern day foods that are convenient. During the 1980s, exercise was all the rage, and it was pushed very heavily. Everything you watched on TV was very looks and image conscious. You would have TV AM advertising Mad Lizzie during morning exercise. There would be programmes like Fame and dance classes, which in turn was tied into music with pop stars with bodies to die for. Magazines was full of beautiful women and tips and tricks for the body beautiful, along with adverts and stuff like that would heavily promote diet and exercise together and would psychologically link them. For obviously like mass monetary gain. So me being stuck in a tower block, decided dancing around my bedroom was a good idea, with my headphones on, listening to Madonna and whoever else, who also was a fit woman. I eventually did my knees in jumping up and down on a mini exercise trampoline, and angry neighbours listening to me thud up and down and like would bang the floor. So eventually I went to kung fu lessons and aerobics classes, the gym, cycling, swimming, and concluded after exercising myself to death all over these years, it didn't make me lose weight at all, really. All it did was just tone up what I had and give me a buzz, which was beneficial. But that link with exercise and dieting, as I say, was so heavily promoted that that you would lose weight if you just like either walked a lot or like exercise like a lunatic, but it actually did damage to my body. God gave me a message, which is on my channel, linked below on my earlier ones, about that we are entering a period of which I would term a kind of fasting. Although biblically God doesn't require you to fast, as it's down to personal discretion what you do between you and God. But I think we're coming into a time, a pretty dangerous time, where we're going to have to fast, like get back to a safe mode with food and like everything in our lives. Because, like technologies and the things we're currently experiencing are not necessarily good for humankind. He says this is war, a harvesting period where meat and vegetables shall be reversed. What we have sown, we shall reap the harvest. That means if we have sown bad seed, we shall have no return. And if we have sown good seed, we will reap the fruit of the harvest from the past. Just like in Matthew 13:23, the seed that fell on good soil represents those who truly hear and understand God's word and produced a harvest of 30, 60 or even 100 times as much had been planted. Daniel, just like Daniel in the Bible, he chose not to eat the chosen food of the kings, as it was full of idolatry. Instead, he chose to eat vegetables, so not to indulge in the corruption of the offerings. As in the Bible, I ate no choice food, no meat or wine touched my lips, and I used no lotions at all until 3 weeks were over. That was Daniel, quote from Daniel, which I've lost the Bible verse. Anyway, God told me that the powers that be are planning to make an unclean offering as inverted sacrifice, as I believe the Twin Towers were, to people, which could consist of human meat in our main food chain, amongst other disgusting things. Just say that again. God told me that the powers that be are planning to make unclean offering an inverted sacrifice, as I believe the Twin Towers were, which could consist of human meat in our main food chain, amongst other disgusting things, like semen or blood or whatever. These people who are doing this, I believe, link back to the line of Cain. God told me Cain made a disgusting offering to God before he killed his brother Abel, which I believe was his seed. This is what has been told to me. The Bible translations may be different. I am not sure what's going on there, but that was what God said to me. This line of Cain has a long trail of blood up to the present day, and I'm having like even drops about like two races being on earth, and this demonic race has actually rose to the top, which links back to Cain. And David, I went on about this a long time ago, but I wasn't quite fully on board with it then, going on about an alien race. But it might be true, but I'm still waiting on God to confirm it. But alien, by what I mean to say, is like going back to Satan's children or offspring, and that was Cain and stuff. But obviously has to be proved by ancient lines. God said to us, fruit and vegetables only, all else is from the evil one. And that's like to do with the word, like reading the word is the meat. And also like the physical aspects of us, like fasting because like it brings you closer to God, you know, like that's in the biblical sense. And also it's safe for your body while these things are being discovered. The struggle. So I've been struggling for the past year to break away from commercial foods, especially McDonald's. I've been pulling away from certain foods bit by bit. Meat I have fell a few times, but mostly have stuck to plan. I have given up sweeteners a while back, which took me around 9 weeks to try now. Then milk in my tea. That's the next thing I'm aiming at. All this Arla scare and stuff like that, you know, that they're using all weird stuff in the foods. Which I have black tea now. I have occasionally switched to corn when I've been meat craving, but even plant-based meats aren't safe neither. You know, they could be corrupted with things we can't see, as they're corporately controlled and nobody knows what goes on in the food prep. And we shouldn't really be that trusting. We really do need to get back to, you know, like cultivating our own food and bringing back farms and stuff so we know 100% what's in there. So God is saying move away from mainstream foods and get back to simplicity again. As I've worked out, salads are not good for winter, so I've just started making vegetable-based stew, obviously because it needs to keep you warm. Unfortunately, I cannot at the moment make it totally vegetable, as I'm still trying to give up on my bread addiction because it fills me up. I'm using canned kidney beans, butter beans, black beans and pearl barley to try and bulk it up so I can sustain not feeling hungry. So this is a process that even I'm finding hard to pull away from, you know, like to actually go fully fruit and veg. Obviously, if like, you know, like we had no option for that, it would probably be easier, you know, like to cut it out altogether. But, you know, while the food and the temptation is there, you go for it, don't you? Also, I'm aiming to have porridge with banana and apples as snacks. Unfortunately, I do not have enough money to completely live on fruit and veg as yet because I'm struggling pulling away from a lifetime food addiction, as I just said. You know, like it's cheap to buy these nasty products, you know, like to go from one day to the next, and it's quite expensive to sustain on fruit and veg, especially if you're bigger, you know, like because your body's craving more food. So I'm hoping if I cut down bit by bit, you know, like that, my body will shrink and I won't need as much food anymore. But you know, like this is a terrible addiction, and like people who are like larger probably are like struggling with candida infections and stuff like that, which all that gives you all sugar cravings and stuff. It doesn't want you to stop the sugar intake. So those of you who have long-term health conditions, this would be an ideal way of resting your body. I think God is spiritually leading me away from mainstream foods, corrupt with every type of chemical abuse known to man. Food is that black now. It's a lot mistyped here. They're not even resembling the food of old and actually nourished your body. Everything is so altered, genetically modified, chemical crops, sprays. I've been around the world, even, you know, probably a couple of times before it even gets to the plate. And intensive farming as well, where they're like constantly putting, you know, like vegetables, you know, growing vegetables or whatever in the soil, and the soil never gets replenished, and there's like no vitamins, you know, like it's not much worthy. I know that I recently went to our local shops, North Solihull. They do the most dank veg ever, you know, like there's not much variety, and it's like looks very pale and it looks dead. Where I went to like main Solihull, and I went to an Aldi there, and like all the colours were jumping out the shelves, you know, like what it is from one area. I don't know, it's because it's a deprived area that we don't get the healthy stuff, or because it's like low cost, I don't know. But even like in some of the Asian quarters, the fruit and vegetables look very healthy, whatever that they sell. But we really do need to get back to that, to small farmers again. I believe that we must enter a time when we prioritise what our bodies actually need rather than what we pleasure ourselves hedonistically with food. As poison is dressed up as a big shiny sweet appetising apple, as in Snow White. And to get to this, maybe cutting out flavour and eating plain food that is nutritionally as close as we can get to natural, which is usually root veg, as least interference from mankind as possible, you know, like plastics and packed up and stuff loose. Not only to protect ourselves from being poisoned slowly, but also to try and repair our bodies, which has suffered a long time silently through this greedy food industry that basically don't have any morals. And they're all linked, you know, like the pharmaceutical industry and like the food industry, you know, like they kind of interplay with each other for maximum profit, who use blatantly the bliss point to enslave you to overeat all their products. I implore you to watch The Bitter Truth, which is a very informative YouTube video about how the food industry keeps you buying their foods, especially the use of sweeteners and how they affect hormones and the effect on our brains. And I know that's worked on me because, like, you know, like if you have a bag of crisps, you can't stop eating the other 6. And they say it's self-discipline to a point, yeah, but I mean, if you sort of mix social problems in with that, and like depression and like the mass unemployment and stuff like that, you know, like all, you know, that's like main food thing that poor people go for. Whenever I go to visit, it's always food that is the communion between other poor people. So, you know, like that's the only pleasure that they have really, or even drinking, but even that's shrinking now. So it's the only way of escape now. So my conclusion is calories are the work of the devil, as in carbohydrates, which is highly prevalent in fast food. All the commercial food around us offer nothing but taste wrapped up in low nutrition, high sugar and fat, ticking time bomb on our health. So my advice is start heading towards fruit and veg and tap water, 2 litres a day, as it helps with anti-inflammation on the body. And also the use of raw food too is good, as it vibrates a live frequency, as when eating makes you feel up and buzzing. So you kind of take on that food's energy when you eat it, as like cooking food actually diminishes that energy, as everything emits a frequency. Also see musical frequencies decoded. I'll put the links in the box below. Thank you.